with full coverage of the Auburn Tigers,
Touchdown, Auburn!
the Alabama Crimson Tide,
Off to the inside, intercepted Alabama. Touchdown,
and everything college and high school sports. Now, let's join Andy, Brett, Randy, and Luke for this edition of Sportz Blitz Live.
Good Saturday morning out there to everybody, and welcome into the Sportz Blitz Saturday Sports Countdown presented by JR Sports Bar and Grill and Sunshine Heating and Air. Brett Pritchard, Scott Hardy here, bright and early on this Saturday morning after a late Friday night. So we're here and rocking and rolling and sounding nasally and a little red-eyed, but hey, we're here. And again, glad that you joined us out there. Some of you probably just rolling over in the bed and saying, hey, look, we'll catch it up a little bit later on.
I don't blame you.
I don't either. You would probably still be there if you didn't have to be here this morning, Scott. But anyway, good to see you this morning. A lot to talk about as the first round of the high school playoffs in the books. So, look, 4 weeks away from a state championship in Auburn with the Super 7. So, it comes by very quickly. And, again, local teams here that we'll talk about in the first couple of segments and talk about how they fared last night. Some moving on, some season is over. And, again, that's part of it. The finality of the playoffs is real. You don't know when your last game is going to be. And, again, that's why, you leave it all out on the field and there is no tomorrow when you make it to the playoffs. But, Scott, we'll start with the Wildcats, obviously, as they had the game of the week with Hueytown last night, the statewide game of the week. And at halftime, it was 21-all. It was full of big plays in the first half, and everybody expected that with these two teams. Earl Woods has lived up to his expectations the last 2 years for Hueytown. He had over 5,000 yards by himself last year. He's on the way to doing that again this year. That's almost unheard of. Yeah. And, he's a kid that gets stronger as the game goes on. I know that's hard to believe as much as they rely on him to run the football, but he gets stronger. And the reason he gets stronger, maybe not because he is getting stronger, but the other team is getting worn down. I watched Gardendale and Hueytown last week, and that's exactly what happened to them. I mean, Gardendale was right there, and then in the fourth quarter, he looked like a man amongst boys because he looked like he had not lost a step, if anything, gained one, and everybody else was dead tired. And that's exactly what happened to us last night. I thought we played valiantly. We took the lead for the first time in the game in the third quarter, held them 3 and out. They punt, and we drive down and score. Looked really good at that point. About 9 minutes to go in the third quarter, we have the lead. I felt good about it, but you could see that next drive when Earl Woods came down and answered and tied the game back up, and then the following drive, he came down and scored again. You felt kind of like this was about to get in a pace that we didn't want at that point in time, and you got to keep him off the field at that point. Offensively, you got to move the football. You got to at least knock first downs out, run some clock, and kind of shorten the game from that point. But, when you have a guy like that coupled with 3 and outs, Scott, that's a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, I do think that overall the team played and fought as hard as they could. You speak about Earl Woods, and, I mean, phenomenal player, really was the catalyst for the win last night, and really just boiled down.
He was the win.
He was.
There ain't no cattle to stick.
He was the
win. I mean, and not to take anything away from their players, because they do have some good players over there. Obviously, their running back's good, but you take Earl Woods off that team. That team maybe not even in the playoffs. I mean, that's how much of a dynamic player he is, and we've seen that happen in the past too. And that happens with a lot of teams in high school. You take one, especially the quarterback, away. In a lot of instances, they may not even be a 500 team. I mean, they were 7-3 with him, and he is, But again, they hit the stride. I didn't mean to cut you off, but that's what a dynamic player like that. We've got dynamic players. I mean, we've got a really great quarterback that's coming back next year, and Gabe Benton threw for 2,700 yards. Had a good night last night. Got the ball around, mixed it up. Our playmakers made plays, but Earl Woods is Gatorade Player of the Year, reigning Gatorade Player of the Year, and you knew you were going to have to stop him and contain him, and we did for about 2.5 quarters.
Yeah, when they went up 35-28, you could start to feel it. I mean, there were drives where we weren't able to necessarily move the chains and some quick 3-and-outs or 4 or 5 play drives, and turnovers are always inopportune. Like, there's never a good time to have one, but it seemed like when we made a mistake, it was at the worst possible time for it to happen. You have a scoop and score the first half, and then you also have an interception inside the 5. It was just there were times where if something could have gone a little differently, obviously that could have changed the outcome of the game. But defensively, I want to tip my hats to those guys. I mean, they just literally ran out of gas. But
that's really what it is.
We couldn't get off the field, and I mean, I bet in the second half.
Well, you could tell. Look, here's the difference. In the first half, they had a couple big plays, ended up scoring touchdowns, but then we came back and scored and tied the game up. And really, at that point, only one defensive score for them was all they had after those first couple of drives. And 3 yards maybe was the max they were able to gain. Those 3-yard plays became 20-yard plays in the fourth quarter. And that shows you our defense didn't stop figuring out how to play defense in the fourth quarter. They just were tired. They were a half step slower, and some depth issues. That is nothing to hang your head down about. I mean, they fought to the very end, and sometimes that happens. Sometimes you just look over to the other sideline and say, "Hey, tip your hat. Good luck to you guys moving on." And it was their night. Last night, they'll have a tough task ahead of them. They'll have to travel 5+ hours south to take on the number 1 team in the state in Theodore, and we'll talk about that a little bit later on. But I knew what we were faced with, embraced the challenge, an 8-2 Ben Russell team and a 7-3 Hueytown team, and it lived up to billing. I thought WOTM made a great choice in choosing that game because it was a lot of firepower. You knew you were going to put 2 dynamic offenses on the field. I thought it was a beautifully executed trick play to tie the game up.
He set it up so perfectly.
It was.
Yeah,
it was perfect.
Yeah, we had run that play several times throughout the season, already maybe 3 times during the game already, and you could tell how anxious Malcolm was to get that. But very excited about the future of the program, and we've talked about it. I thought the ending of last season and what the senior class was able to do to maintain some stability, transitioning in this year, you go 3-7, now 8-2, and
You're
so I
seeing the
think
step.
we're back. I'm not going to say we're back, but I think the recognition of what it takes to get back and maybe be more sustained from a success level is there. But great coaching staff. But I think that this senior class has a lot to be proud of, and I think that the Wildcats will be even stronger going forward. But I hate to go out like that, but I think overall, considering where we were, heck of a season.
Well, only 7 teams are going to be smiling at the end of the year. I mean, it doesn't matter. It happens that way every year. Only 7 teams going to end the season with a win, the ones that make it to the playoffs. And, hey, look, I want to go back. I said that on the broadcast last night. I thought winning 3 of 5 last year started this. This was a team that started the year last year 0-5 and lost 3 really close games. Could have easily been 3-2 in the first 5 games. Instead, they were faced with 0-5 and just couldn't seem to get over the hump. It seemed to be, a problem that we couldn't shed. But, I thought those seniors last year fought hard and really started to build a product, got these juniors, which are now seniors this year, to start believing. And had a coaching change at the end. Add that in the mix. Coach Grider comes in, hires 2 new coordinators in a very small amount of time from June till now. They go 8-3, and they make it to the playoffs. And and I think some things were learned this year. Pelham beats Northridge last night, and they beat them pretty handily. And that's what our guys need to understand and learn from, is that one bad night at Pelham can cost you a home game in the playoffs. And when you're not mentally prepared, and I think everybody would agree, players, coaches, and everybody knew the energy level just wasn't there on that Thursday night. And we were flat, and we didn't put our best effort forward. And Pelham was a 500 football team this year. We were a 7-3, or 7-2 football team, or 8-2 football team to finish the season. But they got the number 2 seed because they had the tiebreaker over us. And if not, you win that game. You play at home last night against Northridge, and it may not seem like much at the time, 6 weeks into the season, but the implication it can have down the line. Every game is important, especially region games, and you got to be able to bring your best effort, even when you're not up for it. You got to figure out a way to dig deep, but not making excuses. The flip side of that is you got to travel to a runner-up, in the state last year, and play maybe one of the best players in the state in the first round. But that's a learning experience. Again, you can see the steps and the progression from last year to this year, and I'm expecting even better next year. A lot of these guys returning.
And talking to Coach Grider after the game last night, and it's just one of the reasons why I'm so thankful that he's our coach, is just his immediate response was, this was great. I'm glad the guys got a taste of it, but he said this won't be the standard for what Benjamin Russell is. He's like, one and done.
Oh, no.
That's not going to be what we are. So he said, I'm glad we got the chance to experience it, but this won't be what it is. And so having that confidence level and getting some of these guys now having an experience of getting some postseason play, and to your point, understanding the value of every game and understanding that although it may not seem like much, one game here, that costs us an opportunity to host a game and possibly be moving on to the second round, and so you have a little easier matchup. But overall, just if you think about where we were June 1st.
No, I mean,
now,
no.
I mean,
Well, you go
no
from
spring practice, no anything. I mean, there was a lot of reasons why this could have gone very badly this season, and so a lot of credit goes to the assistant coaches that stayed on during that transition period, who kept the team together. Then obviously what Coach Grider was able to do with his 2 coordinators. But I think, again, that we're in a very good position to be back to where we were on a more consistent level of winning.
I totally agree. Between Benjamin Russell and Elmore County, maybe 2 of the best turnarounds in the whole state. I mean, Elmore County didn't win a game last year, and they went 7-3 this year, and played Demopolis really well last night, by the way, on the road. So Kyle Caldwell, that same kind of guy. I mean, he didn't come in there to win 3 or 4 games. He wants to turn the program around, and he did in 1 year, and set a standard of what they've got to build on now over there. But just getting started here on the Saturday Sports Countdown. Love to hear from you. If you've got a call or comment, come on and dial us up, 256-234-6221, or you can comment away. Several comments coming in from Glenn already. Said he's proud of them. And talking about the Wildcats last night, district soccer match going on at the soccer field today, so some action there. Proud of Corey Milner. He said he may have played his best game last night, and he may have. When you look at the effort that he put out on the field on defense to hawk a couple of guys down that were in open field and refused to let them score, and he did it at the very end of the game. About 2 minutes to go, they broke a long run. It would have been easy to allow him to score, and Corey runs full speed down there, and I was so proud to see that. He's a senior. You talk about somebody that literally left everything out on the field and showed class the whole time. It was him. So proud of him, and wish him nothing but the best moving forward. Whatever he chooses to do. I know we got a big basketball season left. I mentioned that on the broadcast last night, and excited about what they're going to do on the court, but looking forward to some of these seniors post Benjamin Russell. Their football days aren't over. They've got some opportunities coming. Up against their first break. Stay tuned. More of the Saturday Sports Countdown right after this.
What's the verdict?
Can't fix your heat pump. Need a new one.
Uh-oh. What are you thinking?
I'm thinking Daikin.
Call on Kevin Kill in Sunshine Heating and Air at 256-825-4849, Central Alabama's premier Daikin dealer.
So what's he thinking?
Oh, he's thinking Daikin.
Daikin, one of the top selling in the world.
Now I'm thinking Daikin.
Daikin. Comfort for life.
Russell Do-It Center and building supply stores have the tools and materials to get the job done right, whether you're a professional contractor or just a weekend do-it-yourselfer. With everyday customer conveniences like a drive-through lumberyard, price match promise, and our best rewards program, each of our 9 locations offer top brands and building materials like lumber, hardware, tools, paint, lawn and garden, and much more. Visit today and see what Russell Do-It Center and Building Supply can help you build tomorrow.
Don't be caught in a dirty vehicle. Lake Martin Mobile Detailing will have your vehicle or boat looking like brand new in no time, and you'll be back driving in style. They specialize in detailing, paint correction, gel coat restoration, and ceramic coating. Take it to the professionals at Lake Martin Mobile Detailing. Call them today at 256-794-2328 or stop by and see them at 702 McCarty Road in Dadeville. Mention this ad and receive $10 off. Lake Martin Mobile Detailing for your cleanest vehicles around.
Harold Orthodontics of Alex City has one simple mission: provide the region's most advanced diagnostic technology for you and your family's orthodontic and air passageway needs. At Harold Orthodontics, it's not just beautiful smiles, but revolutionary options for your family's orthodontic needs, as well as sleep apnea and jaw joint disorder relief. Dr. Harold and his caring staff provide the most accurate diagnosis to relieve the pain or frustration of sleep apnea and TMJ discomfort. Trust Harold Orthodontics. Call for a consultation at 256-234-6353.
Farmers and Merchants Bank of Dadeville is building a foundation of strength and trust in the entire Lake Martin community. With our modern branch in Dadeville and caring, attentive staff, we've established Farmers and Merchants Bank as a reliable friend to your banking needs. Whether it's just a savings or checking account or any commercial, auto, or real estate loan, Farmers has local decision-making to build a relationship with you and your needs. Farmers and Merchants Community Bank. Strength, service, community.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Saturday Sports Countdown, presented by JR Sports Bar and Grill and Sunshine Heating and Air. Let's go to the phone lines. Take our first call of Saturday morning. Go ahead, caller.
Caller James. How you doing?
What's up, James? How are you, brother?
I'm good. I watched every play of that game last night, and I'll tell you what, y'all don't have anything to be ashamed of. Man, the effort was there, and it just, it just didn't work out for you because of a couple of plays and this and that. But that Coach Crowder knows what he's doing. Y'all are on the road back. I mean, hell, I've kind of watched all year long, and I can see that's special to you and Scott and Andy and everybody. But, you got to start somewhere, and y'all started real well. You played well. You could tell you were well coached. It's just one of those things like, I think I can't word it like you did a while ago, but y'all don't have anything to be ashamed of. You can look yourself in the eye and be glad you're a fan of them, and those boys ought to do the same thing, that they're players for them and representing their school. And I know y'all were hungry, but maybe this partially whetted your, taste, because I wasn't a sloppy team you were playing either.
No, James, I think you're right. And I appreciate that, and I know the kids do too, because you look at it. I mean, you can tell. Sometimes you get beat. Sometimes you just get beat. I mean, there's no other way to spin it. It's not a knock on anybody. Sometimes the team across the way just plays better than you.
That's the truth. It's one or two plays.
And it doesn't mean that you played bad, but it just means they played a little bit better. And, they've got a guy in Earl Woods that's a senior, and he was Gatorade Player of the Year last night. And then he puts that team on his back. He did it. You could tell.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I just wanted y'all to know that all year long, I know that meant a lot to y'all. And I watch y'all enough to know how people feel and stuff. And that's all I wanted to say. Was I was proud of Benjamin Russell, and I was proud for y'all for getting that coach down there who knows what he's doing.
That's exactly right.
This is he's taking his time off down. He's off the ground with it. And y'all, I think you got happy days ahead. I think Now, if we can go down 40 miles and get that done, we'll all be happy, okay?
Yeah, amen to that, James. Thank you, brother.
All right, buddy. Appreciate y'all.
Appreciate you too, buddy. Always
I
appreciate
take care of that baby. You get in trouble if you don't.
Yes, sir.
Hey, you
Yes,
don't have
sir.
to worry about that.
I know that. Take care.
Hey, thank you, brother. Yeah, ain't no doubt about it. You'll be towing the line. So, and you have for a while. It's like all of us have. But anyway, you know, I know the people here in Outlet City appreciate James's call there because, and you know, that's the really good thing. You've turned that TV on last night if you weren't at the game, and that may be the first time some people saw maybe both teams. Maybe they hadn't seen Earl Woods play in Hueytown, and they hadn't seen Benjamin Russell play and see all the talent they have, but the coaching on both sides was phenomenal. It was such a good check. If you really appreciate, you know, countering coaching staffs, countering one another on calls, that truly is what was going on last night. I thought we called an outstanding game offensively and defensively, and I thought Hueytown did the same. And, you know, both teams made plays on both sides of the ball, and that's what you want in a playoff game. You want two teams going at one another, leaving it all on the field. A game that was in doubt, 9 minutes to go in the football game, it was a one-score game. And, hey, what else can you say? You had an opportunity. And, again, we're learning to get back to that. A 4-year drought for us. Hopefully we won't experience that any longer with Coach Grider here and the way this staff he put together coaches and the way this group we have coming up for the next 3 or 4 years. This is a lot of good talent down the line that's going to be feeding this program. And, you know, Hueytown has been used to Earl Woods for 3 years, you know, kind of like we were with Tyree Gray when he was here. And in some of the other quarterbacks we've had over the past, you got to find a guy to replace, and you don't necessarily find a guy to replace him. Somebody will take that position because he leaves, but you won't put another Earl Woods on the field at Hueytown. He's a special player. You know, Gabe Benton still got 1 year left. You don't get Gabe Bentons every 2 or 3 years. You got to take advantage of it. You got to cherish the opportunity when you got a guy that can throw for 2,700 to 3,000 yards and run for a potential 500 on the ground like he can. You got to see he's going to be a senior next year. He's going to be a tremendous leader on this team. You have Malcolm Simmons coming back. You got Chris Foster coming back. I mean, we've got a majority of our offensive line coming back. You got a lot of key pieces. You know, great senior class. Going to miss these guys, no doubt. You know, every year you lose seniors, you're gonna miss those guys. But there's gonna be some guys to step up and fill their place, and you know that's just part of it.
Yeah, and excuse me, to your point too about people not having the opportunity to maybe see these teams until this week. That is the beauty of playoff football, and in terms of guys who, from a recruiting standpoint, who maybe were a little under the radar, this gives you an opportunity on a larger stage to get some visibility. But I have no doubt, as it relates to Hueytown anyway, I think that game against Theodore, and I'm sure we'll talk about that a little bit, but that's going to be a good game. And they have to travel that length of distance. You know, that's going to be tough. That is always tough for these teams that have to travel down south. But I thought that Homewood was the best team that we played all season, and Hueytown was head and shoulders to me above them in terms of what they were able to do. And you don't put up 50 points on Benjamin Russell, like this year's team anyway. So that lets you know just how good they were, and they stuck to the system.
Right.
Reminded me kind of how it used to be with Danny or Coach Lasme, where it was like, listen, this is what we're doing.
Yeah.
If you can figure out how to stop it, fine. But if not, we're just going.
Well, and look, and I know it's easy to mention the quarterback's name all the time because he's making the plays. Hey, but you better give credit to Hueytown's offensive line getting to the second and third level and blocking guys. Very, very athletic, very physical, and that's what. Look, if the line isn't blocking, Earl Woods ain't going anywhere. Okay, I mean, let's just be honest about it. He's back there like anybody else. You know, running for his life. So a lot of credit belongs to that offensive front for Hueytown, and I thought it was a clean game all the way around on both sides, and you know, it was just two good programs going at one another. And again, Hueytown as they move forward. You know, next week they'll have the toughest task they faced all year, and they got to go down and play at the number one team in the state's home. And but they are built to go down there and get a win, because Earl Woods, Hueytown will go as Earl Woods goes. That's just the bottom line. So up against our next break on the program. Stay tuned. More of the Saturday Sports Countdown right after this.
22 years selling the best brands. Opelika RV Center, Highway 280 Opelika, or shop us online 24/7 at opelikaRV.com.
You won't believe the deals you receive at Opelika RV.
Growing your business isn't just one thing. It's a million little things. Should you lease, rent, or own? How fast can you get that part? Does it fit the budget? That's what your local Cat dealer is here for. With expert advice, flexible financing, and industry-leading equipment, you can get the job done, day after day. Visit ThompsonCat.com, your compact equipment provider.
You want the best opportunity to be successful in life. You deserve that opportunity. Well, you just happens to be in our motto. Central to you, central to your success. Your future is right now. Don't wait. Make your dreams a reality by enrolling at Central Alabama Community College. Register today at cacc.edu.
Looking for an attorney you can trust for your real estate closings? Wisdom Law Firm at Lake Martin has you covered. Your real estate transactions are fast, convenient, and professional every step of the way. Wisdom Law is certified and licensed by the American Land and Title Association and approved by all local lenders. Visit Wisdom Law Firm at 6366 Highway 49 in Dadeville, or at their Auburn location at 2353 Bent Creek Road. No communication concerning a lawyer's legal services shall be published or broadcast unless it contains the following language, which shall be clearly legible or audible as the case may be. No representation is made that the quality of legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
Alex City Internal Medicine and Nephrology and Weight Loss Center provides optimum care for the whole person. Dr. Dimo Popov specializes in the prevention and diagnosis of high blood pressure, kidney disease, diabetes, and acute and chronic conditions. Our weight loss clinic offers lipo shots and a guide to healthy weight loss. Alex City Internal Medicine and Nephrology and Weight Loss Center, where lifestyle changes are made.
For more than 40 years, Ingram Equipment Company has helped companies, towns, and cities with their dirtiest, most challenging jobs by providing the very best equipment and by helping them keep in tip-top working condition. IEC represents leading manufacturers such as Heil garbage truck bodies, Timco sweepers, Step pothole patchers, and many more. We proudly support all athletes and teams that compete across the state and wish them good luck this year. Ingram Equipment Company, ingramequipment.net.
22 years selling the best brands. Opelika RV Center, Highway 280 Opelika, or shop us online 24/7 at opelikaRV.com.
You won't believe the deals you receive at Opelika RV.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Saturday Sports Countdown presented by JR Sports Bar and Grill. It's sunshine in there. I couldn't hold it in anymore, Scott. Anyway, just kind of going back down memory lane. Sometimes you don't want to go down memory lane. It brings back bad memories. But this year, not bad memories for Benjamin Russell. You got a lot to be proud of. You know, you don't ever want your season to end, but that's the way it goes. Somebody's got to lose in the playoffs, and there'll be 7 teams standing at the end of the season in Jordan-Hare Stadium holding a blue map, and, you know, everybody else will feel the same feeling. You know, that's part of it. But, hey, I want to go over to the Dadeville Tigers real quick since we're talking local. The team is still undefeated on the season, 9-0 in the regular season, but comes back and gets in the playoffs. Knocks off Southside Selma 33-8 there for a minute, wondering if Southside was going to show up. They were late and had to bump the game back 30 or 45 minutes. But Dadeville gets a big win 33-8, and this is what you've seen all year with Dadeville. This was not a bad Southside Selma team that rolled in here at 6-4, very athletic. I think Dayville got down 8-7 early in that game, and once they got their legs under them, it was pretty smooth sailing for them. But I do want to talk about the Dayville Tigers. They got a good football team. And in 3A football, when you look down through here and you see Piedmont and you see Mars Hill and you see some of these teams, Madison Academy wins big last night. We saw them in the Jamboree game to start the season here. Benjamin Russell knew they were going to be a good football team. You see Pike County win big. None of those teams, though, to me, and I haven't seen all of them, but I've seen most of them, I wouldn't say they're better than Dayville. I think Dayville's as good, if not better, than them. And so it's going to be fun to watch, see how far this Dayville Tiger program can go. And, they're riding an undefeated season so far, and I know they're excited about where they are and heading into the second round with a lot of momentum.
Yeah, and the thing that I think will allow Dayville to make a good run, obviously have athletes all over the field, but defensively they're so good. And if you look at their scores throughout the season, a lot of them were very similar to what they were last night. One touchdown games, maybe 10 points, but they've positioned themselves to be able to make a run. And hopefully, we've seen this, a decade ago with Kyle Caldwell, and where you had an undefeated season and you have to make that trek down to South Alabama.
Well, and let me tell you, they've got Thomasville coming
okay
this week.
Okay. So that does change a lot. I mean, that people underestimate the value of that. I mean, this isn't college where you're leaving a day early and you got some time to prepare. I mean, you're on a bus for 5 hours, 4 hours, and you got to come make a trip somewhere and then go play a game. It's a little tough. It throws off your schedule. But Dayville putting together a really good season, and it's good to see another one of our teams in the local area making a run.
Yeah, last night, Reeltown gets a big win, 49-6 over Thorsby. Again, this Reeltown team, they lose to Tallahassee to start the season. And they have not looked back since. Had some big wins. Had a big win a couple of weeks ago against Highland Home on the road. Won that game old-fashioned style, 8-7. Went for 2 and got it. This is a team that seems to be getting better and better each week. And again, not shocked. Reeltown and Dayville have had tremendous, and they were supposed to play each other this year, obviously, like they do every year. But weather canceled that game, and they weren't able to get that rescheduled. Central Clay last night had a win over Hopeville, and Central Clay put 50 on the board there, shut out Hopeville 50-0. That's a team, man, you just always know they're going to get momentum heading down the stretch of the regular season and into the playoffs. So they'll be a tough out. They got Gulf Shores, though, next week. I don't know if that game's in Central Clay or if it's on the road, Gulf Shores, but regardless, Gulf Shores with a big win too, 42-10 over Carroll. So that'll be a good football game there in round 2, and we'll start running down scores. But I did want to hit our local teams here, and those 3 teams move on. Benjamin Russell falls, and their season's over, but nothing to hang their head about. Really good football team this year, and this team will get better going into next year. A lot of returning players off of this team, a lot of dynamic players that will be coming back. Of course, you'll miss Corey, and you'll miss Savon, and you'll miss those kind of kids. I hate to start naming kids because you're going to leave some out, but we've got some tremendous seniors that will be moving on, Scott, that were an integral part of this team. But we got some really good underclassmen coming up, some exciting players that'll be on varsity next year. Excited about that. But anyway, that's the way it lays out locally here. Let's get into scores. Start talking about some of these from last night, and then we'll set the brackets for next Friday night in the second round. Auburn over Fairhope 35-17, and Phoenix City 58-7 over Mary Montgomery. I said it last night. Watch Phoenix City in the playoffs. This team, they lost to Opelika earlier. Maybe not playing their best football. They have hit a stride, and they look like a runaway train right now. I wouldn't be surprised if they're in Jordan-Hare Stadium representing the south part of the bracket. Dothan goes on the road and gets a big win against Foley. So it'll be Auburn and Dothan taking on each other next week. Enterprise knocks off Baker 35-26. Hewitt-Trussville 38-20 over Florence. Hoover 45, Bob Jones 19. Thompson shuts out Huntsville 34-0. And Vestavia, who may be playing as good a football as anybody in the state, blows out Halston 52-10. That sets up that matchup with Vestavia and Thompson next week. Thompson better watch out.
Yeah.
Vestavia is playing really good right now.
They've been on fire of late, excuse me, and really have been playing their best football toward the end of the season. But you mentioned, excuse me, you mentioned Phoenix City, and was talking to some people over in Auburn yesterday, and that's the game that they've been looking forward to and felt very good about what could take place.
That could be in 2 weeks.
Yeah, if they were able to get to that game and win that one, they felt pretty good about winning the state championship. But Phoenix City right now is probably, outside of Vestavia, probably the hottest team in 7A.
Yeah, I definitely think so. Let's move down to 6A football. Center Point over Jackson Olin 26-8. Decatur 31, Fort Payne 8. Gadsden City 41, Coleman 24. Gardendale knocked off Oxford 31-14. Hartselle been very good all year. I think still undefeated. I don't think they lost in the regular season, so I still think they have a perfect mark there. 52-7 over Buckhorn. Hillcrest Tuscaloosa, without their starting quarterback, shuts out Calera 38-0. Homewood 35, McAdory 30. That was a close football game there. Homewood had to come from behind, I think, to win that game. Hueytown, as we mentioned, knocked off Benjamin Russell 56-28. Watch this team here. Mountain Brook 44, Pinson Valley 7. Mountain Brook, a very good football team. Got close last year in the playoffs now. It's a team that you do not want to see. They're going to be a tough out. Muscle Shoals 58, Hazel Green 7. Here's the shocker of the night. Defending 6A state champs. They only put 6 points on the board. I did not see how that game went down.
Somebody please tell us, because I want to know how that came about.
Parker knocks off Clay Chalkville 7-6. I think Clay Chalkville was favored like by 35 in that game.
I mean, that's got to be just soul crushing if you're them, because
they're defending state champs.
I mean,
but that every so often you see this in the first round. You see a major upset, and Clay Chalkville, their season is done. No, that just shows you. I mean, it doesn't matter if you're rebuilding a program and you're getting back to a standard of trying to play well, or if you have been the top of the heap the last 2 or 3 years. If you don't play your best football, you are vulnerable every time you go on the field. And Clay Chalkville showed that last night about as glaringly as you can. Pelham, as we talked about earlier, knocked off Northridge 44-14. Pike Road 22, Spanish Fort 21. You mean they went down to the hill and got a 1-point win?
Somehow.
I don't know how they pulled off the biggest miracle in football. Saraland over Wetumpka 48-14. St. Paul's shuts out Carver Montgomery. Carver Montgomery's season is over. The only loss that Carver had was out of state to a team in Louisiana. But St. Paul squeaked out a 13-0 win over a very good Carver Montgomery team. It has two of the best players in the country on defense in Quay Russaw and James Smith. And Theodore, 35, Sidney Lanier, 20. Gave up 20 points last night. So, hey, look, they can be scored on, and Earl Woods will lead that Hueytown team down there to take on the number one team in Theodore this coming Friday. We'll take another break. Stay tuned. More Saturday Sports Countdown right after this.
Hi, this is Brian Bice with Bice Motors. With our all-star lineup of Dodge trucks, Jeep, SUVs, and Chrysler cars, we offer the area a team dedicated to making your next vehicle purchase a positive experience. Our sales team offers competitive pricing, and we back up all sales with a service department second to none. Bice Motors also offers the area's best selection of pre-owned vehicles. Visit Bice Motors at 2133 Cherokee Road in Alexander City.
Guaranteed lowest price. Buy it at Bice Motors.
Hey, honey, it's Mom. Just wanted to call and check in, see how everything's going. You'll probably say not to worry. Everything is great. But we miss you. I'll call you back later. How are Tell me everything.
Everything's great. I love it here.
Hi, I'm Scott Blake.
I'm Angie Richardson, and we are the loan team here at Movement Mortgage.
Whether you're a first-time home buyer or you've gone through the process before,
Our mission is to help you move forward with the purchase of your future plans. Call me at 256-397-2771.
or call me at 256-794-1003.
Scott Blake, NMLS number 527945. Angie Richardson, NMLS number 216556. Movement Mortgage supports equal housing opportunity, NMLS number 39179. For licensing information, please visit NMLSConsumerAccess.org.
This is Joseph Dean with Alabama Funeral Homes. As many of you are aware, we had a fire that significantly damaged our facilities. We are in the process of getting those rebuilt. We apologize for any inconvenience this may have caused the families that we serve. I want you to know that we are capable of handling all of your needs at Frederick Dean Funeral Home of Opelika, which will be servicing Alabama Funeral Homes families. We can be reached at our same number, 256-896-4502, or by email at joseph@alabamafuneralhomes.com.
You've dreamed about the perfect house, a place to call your own, and a place to not only stretch out, but to grow. Auto Owners protects your house because to you, it's home. That's simple human sense. Happy to help, man. I was just over there talking to myself anyway.
Hey guys, this is Nate Paz with Airport Motors.
I'm Connor Branch with Fairway Auto Brokers in Opelika, Alabama.
And this is your first ever Lake Martin Summer Car Blitz.
That's right, Lake Martin. Airport Motors and Fairway Auto Brokers is teaming up for the very first Lake Martin Summer Car Blitz. Make sure to check out either website for the very best selection of pre-owned luxury trucks, SUVs, and sedans in East Alabama. Get pre-approved in minutes online and make sure to use the keyword Summer Blitz in the comments section for $500 off internet price. That's keyword Summer Blitz.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Sportz Blitz Saturday Sports Countdown presented by JR Sports Bar and Grill. Sunshine, heating, and air. We'll go back to running down some scores here. We went through 7A and 6A, get down to 5A. ARAP 54, East Limestone 14, Beauregard 35-10 winners over Marbury. As we mentioned earlier, Central Clay 50-0 over Hopeville. Charles Henderson 20, Williamson 16. That was a good game. Hey, Demopolis ended up winning 48-28, but I think it was 20 – I can't remember if it was 28-21 at one point in time in that game in the third quarter. So Tippy-Attdale, Moore County, they had a great season. 0-10 last year, won 7 games this year. Went on the road and played a really good Demopolis team. Faith Academy, 21-15 winners over Eufaula. Gulf Shores, 42, Carroll 10. Gunnersville, 24, Fairview 13. Leeds, very good year going right now, 34-13 winners over Fairfield. Moody also very good football team, wins over Jasper 29-21. Pleasant Grove 43, Alexandria 14. You got to watch Pleasant Grove, great football team. And then another one in the Birmingham area, Ramsey 61, Southside Gadsden 25, and that's one of Hueytown's losses earlier in the year.
Ramsey.
To Ramsey. You can see why.
Yeah.
I mean, it takes a team that can match point for point, really, is how that breaks down if you're playing Hueytown. Russellville 63-10 over Boaz, Scottsboro 45, Brewer 14. Tallahassee, we failed to mention Tallahassee. We're talking about local teams, 49-16 over Selma. So Tallahassee moves on to the second round.
Yeah, and I don't know who the matchup is, so I don't want to speak out of turn, but, I mean, they've got a good chance to try to make a little run,
Tallahassee, well, again, Reeltown's only loss. Now, that was up 3 classifications for Reeltown. And finally, UMS Wright, 56, Headland 13. Terry Curtis becomes the winningest coach in state of Alabama history.
I mean, I think we've seen some great ones, but when it comes down to it, I mean, he's probably one of the best coaches.
I've never seen anybody.
He just wins. That's just he just wins, and congratulations.
I think when he retires, he'll still be winning. I mean, he'll go home and they'll call him and tell, hey, you won again, and he's not even coaching. I think that's and that you're right. I mean, that's kind of how he's viewed. But again, he's been around a long time, and he's coached at several places, but really made a name for himself at UMS Wright and put that program up there in a position to be as dominant as it has been for so long. And he, again, as long as he keeps coaching, he'll keep stockpiling wins. That's just how he does it. Down in 4A, American Christian 16, Munford 13, Andalusia 25 over Jackson 10, Anniston 52-0 winners over Sipsey Valley. That's a team to watch in 4A. That's a team that can play with Montgomery Catholic, and I wouldn't be surprised if those two teams didn't meet up in Auburn. Booker T. Washington 46, Orange Beach 43. Well, that was a shootout. Catholic Montgomery all over Bayside Academy 41-13. Cherokee County 47, Comer 10, Deshler 68. Madison County 34, Dora 34, Good Hope 6, Etowah over Northside 42-21. Hanley, again, we saw them at number 1 earlier in the year, 46-6 winners over West Blockton. Jacksonville wins over Bibb County 35-28. Aniana was runner-up last year. They get a win in the first round, 56-14 over Haleyville. Priceville 49, Central Florence 28. Randolph 54, Rogers 8. T.R. Miller knocks off Montgomery Academy 41-13, and West Morgan 27, Westminster Christian 7. That's your scores in 4A football. In 3A football, Alabama Christian 63, Randolph County 30. There's a lot of points scored last night in a lot of games. Colbert County 57, J.B. Pingleton 28. We mentioned Dayville knocked off Southside Selma 33-8. Geraldine 24, Winfield 6. It was Gordo 50, Ohatchee 6. Lauderdale County 41, Vinemont 7. Madison Academy 49. Phil Campbell 28. Morris Hill 62 points in the first round over Danville 7. Mobile Christian went to Houston Academy. Houston Academy was undefeated. They drove Mobile Christian because they had to forfeit 4 games because of an ineligible player, which put them as a 4 seed. Not a good deal for Houston Academy. Piedmont 61-0 over Oakman. Pike County 42, Excel 14. St. James 54 knocked off Walter Welborn 7. That's a good Walter Welborn team that only managed 7 points last night. Sylvania 35-6 over Fayette County. Thomasville 20, Strong 9. That will be Dayville's next opponent, Thomasville. Trinity 37 shuts out Sac 0, and WS Neal 27, Op 13, and that gets you through 3A scores. Anything stand out in those last couple of classifications, Scott?
Just really the amount of points that are being scored, and typically I look at the high classifications, you kind of expect some of that, but I mean these 3 and 4A matchups
Put
are
60
going to be.
on the board.
Yeah, I mean there's some dang good teams that are going to be making some runs here of late, but if we do get to see it, that Anniston Catholic matchup would be a great one to see.
No doubt about it. Up against another break. When we come back, we'll finish up high school. We'll do 2A, 1A, and head into college football talk in the second hour. Stay tuned. More Saturday Sports Countdown right after this.
Whether it's Lake Martin, Lay Lake, or Logan Martin, boaters from all over the state of Alabama come to Alex City Marine, just off Highway 280 in Alexander City, Alabama, because it's worth the drive. With the best deals on unbeatable Suzuki outboards, Manitou and Landau Tritoons, and a great pre-owned inventory while they last. Alex City Marine is the pros the locals know. And no matter where you're from, when you're here, you're local to us. Alex City Marine, just off Highway 280 in Alexander City, Alabama. AlexCityMarine.com.
WOTM is the television provider for all Alabama High School Athletic Association championship events and special programs. WOTM is your home for the Super 7 football, state finals basketball, baseball and softball state championships, the AHSAA weekly show, and WOTM also produced the first ever football playoff show, Super 7 preview show, and reclassification reveal show. Your exclusive home for all things AHSAA is WOTM. Contact your local cable provider to request WOTM to your channel lineup.
Sherry Reese, candidate for Alabama State Senate District 27, showed the ultimate devotion to her country and her community, serving 24 years in the Army. willingly putting her life on the line to protect yours. Sherry Reese stands ready to engage on the political issues that matter to you and is equipped to deal with the challenges our communities face. Service, community involvement. On November 8th, put some boots on the ground. Vote Sherry Reese for Alabama State Senate.
Forbes Auto Sales, located on Highway 280 in Kellyton, is all about selection and service. Selection of clean, sharp used cars, trucks, and SUVs selected by Robert Forbes himself. Service. Forbes Auto Sales is all about servicing vehicles on the lot, but also servicing your personal vehicle. Keep this in mind. If you don't see what you're looking for on the lot, just tell old Robert to go shopping for you. That's what he does. Personal service, and that's what it's all about at Forbes Auto Sales in Kellyton.
The same professionals you've trusted with your urgent care is now your primary health provider. Main Street Family Care. We provide annual physical exams as well as monitoring health conditions such as high blood pressure, diabetes, asthma, and more. All major insurances accepted, Medicaid, Medicare, and have self-pay options to accommodate everyone. See us in Alex City, just across from Walmart. Your care is our primary concern.
Main Street Family Urgent Care. Heal better, feel better fast.
Why is Sarah Automotive Group on Highway 280 in Sylacauga the place for the best deals on your new ride? 3 compelling reasons. 1. With 3 full new car dealers on one lot, you get the best in comparison and incentives on Fords, Hondas, and Nissans. Unmatched selection. 2. Sarah pays over market value for your trade to maintain East Central Alabama's best pre-owned vehicle selection and sale. And 3. The Sarah Automotive price won't be beat and delivers lower payments and huge value on your next buy. Shop online or on Highway 280 in Sylacauga.
Welcome back, everyone, to Sportz Blitz Saturday Sports Countdown, presented by JR Sports Bar and Grill and Sunshine Heating and Air. Give us a call, 256-234-6221 to be part of the program. We're going to close out here, Scott, in high school football and move forward into college talk here in the second hour. A lot to talk about. Did anything go on this week?
Well, I think we'll
Jason Caldwell said yesterday on the Auburn Blitz, he said this past week felt like 2 months.
It did.
I mean, it felt like 2 months went by, so maybe that was because it just felt like 20 years over the last year and a half. That's why. But anyway, we'll dive into a lot of that in the second hour. But two-way football, we'll just hit up some scores real quick. Of note, 5-55, Red Bay 8. Good Lord, man. They just keep doing their thing. Reeltown 49, Thorsby 6. Vincent 36, Laverne 35. What a good football game that was there. Again, it doesn't matter how you lose. It stings. It doesn't matter if you lose by 3 touchdowns or 3 points or 1 point. When you fall, it just it's a sour taste in your mouth. In 1A football, some really good football teams. Leroy 47-12 over Georgiana. Maplesville 55, R.C. Hatch 8. Milry 55, Florala 7. Pickens County, we've seen them a bunch, knocks off Wadley 34-15, Sweetwater 48, Verbena 8, and Brantley knocks off Choctaw County 39-3. There's going to be some good football down in always is, man. I know 1A, we had somebody comment, I'll mention this, on our AHSA Radio Network page. It said, well, 2A and 1A just always get left off when you talk about, teams, state coverage. And to a point, he made a good point about, lower classification football. It doesn't get the exposure 7A, but 1A football has some awesome games every single year. And the same teams we see, the Sweetwaters, the Leroys, the Brantleys, those teams just always put a good product on the field, and they're so well coached. So.
I do have to give a shout-out, though. We just got a Hudson Hinton, a friend of the show, said shout-out to Aliceville, who won 62-13, his alma mater.
They did. They won big. So.
Class of, class of 76. So, yeah, there we go.
Okay. There we go. So, congratulations. Hey, look, man, proud of you. That just shows you. It doesn't matter where you move, you still follow your team, and it's still a lot of pride when your alma mater wins. So, you know, last night was a good example. Had a lot of people there in the stands, former players, former
That's always
students.
So good to see.
Former students that come in. I mean, you know, we traveled well again last night, and that was to be expected. That's what we do. 4 years, hadn't been to a playoff. It showed up last night. And look, this is, like Coach Grider said, the start of a standard that's going to be set around here. And I look forward to some really fun years over the next 3 or 4 with the group that we have coming through. Scott, we'll move on to round 2. We won't go through all the matches. We'll have those posted on our Facebook page for anybody who wanted to go and check that out. But some really good matchups coming up. Again, Dable will take on Thomasville. That will be a good matchup. Gulf Shores and Central Clay will take on one another. That'll be a good one. You know, Reeltown's moving on to round number 2. So we've still got a lot of teams in this area that are alive and have a chance to make some runs. Tallahassee wins last night. They move on. Again, just always fun time. 4 weeks from now, we'll be at Jordan-Hare Stadium getting ready to call the Super 7 again for the 15th year, I believe, on the HSA network. I mean, where did those years go?
Where did they go?
Yeah, I know it. Good times, though, as we always look forward to the Super 7 state championships in the rotation now between Birmingham, Auburn, and Tuscaloosa. And it'll be fun to see. Chris comes in with the comments that overall great season, looking forward to next year. Wildcat Pride. That's right. I mean, as soon as the finality sets in, you start setting your sights on what you're going to do. But, hey, let's take time, like we always do, to wish our seniors nothing but the best moving forward. A lot of them will go on to play, winter and spring sports ahead. So their career at Benjamin Russell not over. But football-wise, it may be the last time some of those guys put on the pads. And that's the reality of playing in your last football game. And it was so good to see those seniors last night playing to the last whistle and soaking every moment of that up. Look, I went through it last year with my son. Unfortunately, we didn't go to the playoffs last year, so that final home game was it. And the emotions that come out in that game, knowing that that's probably the last time. And I thought Coach Grider posted something on Facebook. He shared something this past week talking about, you can continue to play softball and golf and tennis and a lot of sports on into past high school, but when football's over, you've stopped playing a sport and probably never play a sport again that you poured so much heart and soul and effort into for so long to that point for it just to abruptly end. And that's the way football's designed. That's why there is so many emotions that flow when that final game comes, whenever that is.
Yeah, and again, I know that other teams across the state are dealing with the same thing.
Absolutely.
And, it'll continue to
It'll
happen
next week, and then week 3, and then week 4, and then the championship game. That'll be somebody's final game on that turf at Auburn. So,
but good to get there, and obviously, some people say, well, what was the point in making it if you're going? And
nobody.
The standard for what Benjamin Russell is and what we expect it to be, I think, is back to that point, and at least there's an understanding, and the guys got a little bit of taste of that, and understanding, again, going back to what we talked about earlier in the show, every game matters. So you can't come out flat. You can't come out – I mean, if you do, then that puts you in positions that get a little uncomfortable down the road. But 8-2 regular season, 8-3 overall, I just think it was a great season overall, and I'm looking forward to what the future looks like for the program.
Yeah, I am too. So proud of the way they played all season. Tip of the hat to the Wildcats as their season ends last night against Hueytown. Hey, look, good luck to Hueytown moving forward. Earl Woods, a phenomenal player, will be moving on to play at Jacksonville State. Just over 5,000 total yards of offense last year for Earl Woods. I don't know what his total is this year. He's not done, but I think he accounted for 67 touchdowns by himself last year.
That's unreal.
I mean, that's the kind of numbers, that's the kind of player he is. And you don't hear that hardly ever at any level. That's how dynamic he is. So to say Hueytown's going to miss him, Scott, might be the biggest understatement of the year. Whenever his final game is for Hueytown, they're going to be sad to watch him move on. I can promise you that. Up against the top of the hour break, coming back, hour number 2, we're going to dive into college. Stay tuned. More Saturday Sports Countdown right after this.
There's only one clear choice in the Lake Martin area for plumbing, heating, and air. That's All Clear Plumbing and Air. Our professionally trained technicians offer full service repair and installation on all major brands. From drips to water heaters, thermostats to entire air conditioning and heating systems, and everything in between. Our fast, reliable, and guaranteed top-notch customer service will keep you informed and up to speed through the entire process. Call us today or look for us on Facebook and Instagram at All Clear Plumbing and Air, 256-496-2056. License number 19172.
I'm Jimmy Goree with Goree's Furniture. We would like to invite you to come shop our huge selection of furniture. But if you don't have time, we have over 2,000 items you can have shipped directly to your home. Go to GoreesFurniture.com, look for 48-hour quick ship. Shop, click, ship, it's just that easy. You can shop us here, or you can shop us online, only at Gorees Furniture.
Your expressway to saving.
If you haven't been to Big B Barbecue in Alex City, then you're missing the best barbecue around. Big B has everything from the best pulled or chopped pork, chicken, and beef to cheeseburgers and grilled chicken salads. Bring your friends and family out for a great dinner and sit outside on our beautiful patio, or sit inside and enjoy your meal by the fireplace. So come in and join us and enjoy the best barbecue in the area only at Big B Barbecue, located on Highway 22 West in Alex City.
Talladega Outdoors in Talladega is your authorized Kawasaki sale and service center. Your home for Bad Boy mowers and Kimco scooters, four-wheelers, and side-by-sides. Rather for hunting, land management, or recreation, they have the ride for you. But they are also everything outdoor with full lines of accessories and is now your Ariat workwear and boot store, along with kayaks and outdoor accessories. Talladega Outdoor, Highway 21 in Talladega. Everything outdoor and Alabama's #1 Kawasaki dealer.
Hi, this is Brian Bice with Bice Motors. With our all-star lineup of Dodge trucks, Jeep, SUVs, and Chrysler cars, we offer the area team dedicated to making your next vehicle purchase a positive experience. Our sales team offers competitive pricing, and we back up all sales with a service department second to none. Bice Motors also offers the area's best selection of pre-owned vehicles. Visit Bice Motors at 2133 Cherokee Road in Alexander City.
Guaranteed lowest price. Buy it at Bice. Bice Motors.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Sportz Blitz Saturday Sports Countdown presented by JR Sports Bar and Grill. Sunshine, heating, and air, an hour left in today's programming. Again, we'd love to hear from you, 256-234-6221, to be part of the program. Luke probably calling in here shortly to get us started in hour number 2 like we always do. Scott, a ton went on this week. If you're an Auburn fan, it started on Monday. As Jason Caldwell said on the Auburn Blitz, it felt like it was about a month long or 2 months long this past week, and we'll talk a lot about that. Kyle comes in and says, Cadillac pulling the upset today, book it. So we'll see how that goes, but let's go back to the phone lines. Probably Luke here. Luke, is that you?
It is.
How you doing, brother? Late night last night?
It was tough. From Birmingham to Alex City to Sylacauga to do the game, back to Alex City, do the scoreboard, back to Birmingham.
And just bright and chipper right early at 8 o'clock on a Saturday morning, just like always, man. And, hey, first of all, last night, I got to start with that. What a good football game. You know, it had everything you would want in a first-round game, 2 dynamic offenses. It just simply boiled down to Earl Woods was the best player on the field, and Benjamin Russell just got worn down. It really that simple. I hate to break it down that way, but 2 good football teams, and Earl Woods showed out.
He really did. Now, I didn't see his final stats because we didn't have those available to us, but boy, I'll be kind of shocked if Hueytown didn't have 350 yards rushing at least. I mean, they were just all over the place. And you're right, Benjamin Russell did get run down. And I think there is the silver lining in a sense for next year, because if I'm Coach Smitty Grider, that's what I tell my guys when we're in the middle of conditioning in June and July and everybody's tired and they've got their hands on their knees, and you go, hey, the reason we're doing this is because we ran out of gas against Hueytown. And that's just exactly what happened. I don't want to take anything away from Hueytown, because Earl Woods, he was certainly a leader in that game. But, in the end, when Benjamin Russell finally took the lead, it's almost like that lit a fire under Hueytown, and at the same time, I think Benjamin Russell sort of let up a little bit, or maybe they had just expended all their energy getting that lead, because from that point forward, it seemed like the offensive line was pushing the BRHS defensive line around. Earl Woods, he was running a little faster. The other two backs, number 5 and number 6, who were, man. Now, look, they're small, but they're powerful, and they looked for contact. But I got to give a shout-out to Corey Milner, because he had 2 of the best plays of the year, if you ask me. I mean, I don't ever remember seeing somebody chase down a running back twice in a game, let alone in the same quarter. It wasn't like Hueytown had slow guys. Milner he did his best DK Metcalf impression and chased him down 2 times. Now, Hueytown ended up scoring both times on the drive, but that's not what is important. I think, again, it's a beautiful teaching moment for Smitty Grider to be able to show his kids all through the summer, hey, I want to know who's going to be the senior that wants to have moments like Corey Milner had in this game.
Yeah, I thought Corey left it all on the field, and I thought you summed it up about the way we did on the radio last night. And as soon as Benjamin Russell took that lead, Hueytown it kind of rejuvenated them to say, look, man, we ain't going out this way. And that's what really good seasoned teams do when their back's against the wall. They watched a lead evaporate, and they answered and kept answering. And, again, learning experience for a team that hadn't been in the playoffs in 4 years in Benjamin Russell. And they'll build on that. Coach Grider talked about it after the game. And I'm looking forward to the future. It's going to be bright around here for a while. Luke, let's slide over to talk about college today. You look at Alabama and where they sit right now, and just kind of kick it over to you. And big game on the road in Baton Rouge. Alabama has had the better of LSU down there for a long time. It's really kind of crazy how many times or how few times LSU's been able to win down there in the last 50 years against Alabama. But this Alabama team is vulnerable on the road. You and I talked about it on Tuesday night. They're different away from Bryant-Denny Stadium. That happens to a lot of teams when you go on the road. Doesn't matter who it is. But this is a team, and I heard a guy talking about it on a show last night on the way home, a Bryce Young team at Bryant-Denny's almost an unbeatable team. But when you take Alabama on the road, they've made some mistakes. They've had some things not go their way. But they've been able to find a way to win a majority of those games. But this will be a tough test tonight. LSU's gotten better as the year's gone on.
Yeah, they have, and Alabama does play generally well in Baton Rouge. The 2 of the last 3 times, they have shut out LSU. And then the time in 2020, they just had an offensive explosion. So, yeah, I think that they usually play fantastic in Baton Rouge, and they have for several generations now. The thing about Bryce Young is he's going to be the best player on the field whenever he takes the field. Okay, but Alabama needs some guys to step up and help him out, specifically receivers. Some of these receivers have to grow up to starting tonight. I understand the team is a little tired of the narrative about going on the road and not playing as well. And the only way to change that is to start playing well on the road. That's the only thing you can do. And I think that should start tonight. I don't know that Alabama will cover the spread of about 13 points, but I do think Alabama ends up winning something like 28-17. That's been my prediction. And I'll still roll with that because, again, I do think Bryce Young is far and away the best player on the field, and I think he'll prove it again. But I'm hoping beyond hope that 1 or 2 of the receivers in some capacity step up and make a play for him when the pass isn't perfect, when the ball just didn't hit him square in the hand. I want somebody to go make a diving catch or somebody to take a bubble screen to the house, something that has to be done so that this receiving core begins to get a little more respect.
And Luke, I've been guilty of this at times, but when Alabama loses a game, there's all these different things that people try to point to say, maybe the dynasty's over now, people are catching up, things are getting more equitable across the board. But what are your thoughts in comparison to other years when Alabama is lost and how the rest of the season will go? What makes this team capable of going on a run and getting back to Atlanta or possibly even, into the playoffs?
Well, this is a different team from all the other teams, obviously, but in the end, a lot of Alabama squads and a lot of squads overall in the playoff era have won national championships while having lost a game, and I think that can be a wake-up call. And in the end, people start looking for reasons to doubt Alabama's dynasty. But, and the win-loss thing, people start looking at numbers the further away you get from your losses. But I think people need to remember that Alabama's loss was by 3 points to Tennessee on the road when they had a historic number of flags, and they missed a field goal that could have won it. They dropped a pass that could have won it. It was just over and over again. They still lost, and the loss counts, and it's not an excuse. I think what people need to remember is things aren't as bad as they seem. Just like when Alabama went to Texas and won on the road, they're not as good as they looked. So, the truth is somewhere in the middle. And so eventually, as I say all the time, you play your best a couple times a year and your worst a couple times a year, and everything else in between is what you are. What concerns me is I just hope we haven't seen Alabama's best yet, because we're about to be 9, 10 games deep. And I'm worried if we've seen their best, that's a problem. This team can't win a championship. But if we haven't seen their best, I think they can play with anybody.
Luke, let's turn the page and look over at Athens, Georgia today. Tennessee goes over at 2:30, and this is the game of the year. Obviously, you and I talked about it Tuesday. Wish the playoff committee would have put Georgia at number 2. Would have just been, for banter talk, for more or less save anything else. But it's all going to work its way out. But Tennessee and Georgia number 1 and number 3. Georgia is a 9-point favorite at home now. This Tennessee team's dynamic offensively. This is a big test for them to see where they are in the pecking order. Can they go over to the defending national champs' house and pick up a big win?
I think they can. The will they and can they, two different things, obviously. I think they can win this game. A lot of folks are. It seems the predictions are one of two ways. Like either it's a definitive Tennessee win or Georgia blows them out of the water. And I don't think that's the way it's going to be. I think this is going to be pretty close. I think it still could be kind of high scoring because Tennessee's defense still has problems, but Georgia's losing Nolan Smith, I think, is an issue. The fact that, outside of Bowers and then at sometimes Washington, Georgia doesn't have a fantastic receiving core either. I feel like Tennessee can certainly keep this. Whenever you have a quarterback as good, as accurate, as confident as Hendon Hooker is right now, I think you're always going to be in a game. I don't think Tennessee's going to really, if they do lose this year, I don't think they're going to get blown out by anybody. I think they're always going to be in the mix.
Yeah, and I think this is a big step. Obviously, the winner has the stepping stone to Atlanta in the East. A big game for LSU and Alabama tonight. If Alabama loses, they're potentially out of the mix there for a chance. And I know that Ole Miss is kind of hoping for LSU to lose and Alabama to come into that game where they have an opportunity to possibly beat Alabama to go to the SEC championship game for the first time since we've gone to the division. So a lot of interesting football left to play here in the next 3 or 4 weeks, and it's going to be fun to see how it all plays out. But 2 really big games, Alabama at LSU tonight at 6 o'clock, Tennessee at Georgia at 2:30. Luke, appreciate it, brother. Go get some rest before this afternoon.
Can't do it. Got to go coach a soccer game, Brett. You know how I am about coaching soccer. You can't stop me from doing it.
I was about to say, you can't keep a good man down. Got to get out there and coach him up. Well, Luke, have fun this weekend. We'll talk to you next week.
Yeah, you can't keep a good man down. Can't keep me down either.
I wasn't going to say that, but you did, okay? All right,
y'all
brother.
have a good day.
See you, buddy. Have
See
a
you,
good
Luke.
one. We'll take a break, come back, and talk about this. I guess we'll dive into the soap opera that's called Auburn.
We made it an hour and 12 minutes without even mentioning.
Well, you got 45 left, so, and I think it's going to dominate it. Stay tuned. More of the Saturday Sports Countdown right after this.
They say we live in an age of big data, where computers and fancy algorithms are supposed to know you best. But at Country Financial, we know helping you own your future requires, well, something much bigger. Contact your local Country Financial representative and start planning for your future with a personal touch.
Hey, it's Brett Pritchard, and I'm here to tell you all about Sims Foods, who you know better as Wickles Pickles. Wickles Pickles, that 90-year-old recipe, wickedly delicious. Relish, okra, and pickles. From Saturday sandwiches, tailgate snacks, to holiday dinners with your family and friends. From their family to yours, Wickles Pickles, those wickedly delicious pickles.
Wickles Pickles, wickedly delicious pickles.
Okay, somebody's not wearing their seatbelt.
I don't wear seatbelts. Might wrinkle my shirt.
That's okay. I'm sure they can iron it before the funeral.
What funeral?
Yours. Almost 70% of people who die in car crashes aren't wearing a seatbelt.
Okay. There. You happy?
Just happy to be alive.
Seatbelts. It's hard to live without them. Drive safe, Alabama. A message from your Alabama Department of Transportation.
Life is a sequence of little successes. The story of my Southern Union success began the day I walked on campus, making new friends, mastering a new skill, reaching a personal goal, the encore performance, the first date, the internship, and now, soon, the dream job. That's the story of my Southern Union success. Register for classes and get ready to watch your Southern Union story come to life.
When you need an automotive hero, you got to call S&S Discount Tire Pros. With locations in Alexander City and Dayville, we are here to serve you today. From quick services like oil changes and tire rotations to in-depth automotive repairs such as suspensions, brakes, and tune-ups, S&S can take care of all your tire needs. You just have to focus on what's important and love the drive. Call S&S Discount Tire Pros today. We are automotive heroes, and we are here to serve you.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Sports Blitz Saturday Sports Countdown presented by JR Sports Bar and Grill and Sunshine Heating and Air. Give us a call, 256-234-6221. As we mentioned, Kyle's comment said, Cadillac pulling the upset today. Let's book it. Hey, let's start there. Cardell Williams, the interim head coach after Brian Harsin let go this past Monday, proud for him. What he means to Auburn, he epitomizes. And really, if you're looking for a guy and you're trying to make a decision on who you can pick to put in that position to galvanize the fan base, the players, everybody, I don't think you could have chosen anybody better. So proud for him and this opportunity to lead Auburn in the next 4 games. We'll see how it all plays out. He starts today at Mississippi State tonight. Glad that game's later because there's a lot of rain in Mississippi right now. That'll be out of there before tonight. But just your thoughts on Carnell being named the first African-American coach in Auburn history. It's a big deal, man. I mean, the chances of him being the permanent head coach are slim. Let's be honest about it. But that's not what he's taking this role to do. That's not what he's lobbying to do. He loves Auburn. He is what Auburn is. One of the best players Auburn's ever had. It's just fitting that he get that opportunity.
Yeah, and congratulations to him, and obviously the historic nature of the announcement of him being the interim coach. But at times, I think the term Auburn man gets diluted, or Auburn person gets diluted some, but not with him. I think that if you were looking at it, going similar to what you're saying, he does epitomize what when we talk about the Auburn family and being engaged for this length of time. he's somebody that's synonymous with Auburn, and I'm very excited to see him lead the team today. But Hayter was under the circumstances, maybe not. Excuse me, I take that back. Maybe it was for the best. I mean, I think it will be for the best.
No, let me tell you, yeah.
that he's the guy. But I think that you'll see some guys motivated still because.
I think you're going to see a rejuvenated team. Now, whether we've got enough players to make a difference is one thing, but I think you're going to see a team that going to be totally different than the effort you saw this past Saturday with Arkansas at Auburn. That was about the dullest atmosphere. Arkansas contributed to it. They were not very good either. I mean, let's just be honest. The lines of scrimmage, Luke and I were texting back and forth during the game. It looked like both teams didn't want to be out there, standing up, no effort. Just not what you expect out of two programs like that. But you're going to see a different team on the field for Auburn. Mississippi State's not a world beater by no stretch. They're reeling off 2 losses themselves. So it's going to be fun to see if Auburn can go over there. Man, what a great opportunity. I feel rejuvenated. I know we don't have a lot to play for, but just a fresh start. Carnell out there, the team has a fresh start. Be good to look at it from what can we do these last 4 games. Looking at Mississippi State, that comeback last year should have left a bad taste in some of these guys' mouth and how they allowed them to come back at Jordan-Hare and win the game. So maybe go over and repay the favor. But Brian Harsin, a lot went on. First thing that happened was John Cohen was named AD. About 30 minutes later, Brian Harsin was relieved of his duties as the head football coach at Auburn. I think Jason Caldwell said it yesterday on Auburn Blitz. The team came out and there wasn't any tears and there was no sadness. That's just who he was, I think. I think there was a few players that really supported him, and they're going to support whoever it is. But I think for the most part, the team had moved on, and the effort kind of started to show that on the field. It wasn't a good fit. I wanted to mention, I read something this week about Carnell Williams. And when Tommy Tuberville went to recruit Carnell Williams, he took the entire staff to his house on a Tuesday night. Went into the house, brought the entire coaching staff. And if you want to make an impact, and here's why I say this, is because Brian Harsin obviously don't know how to recruit at all. He doesn't know where to go, how to talk to anybody, whatever. There was an article written when he was at Arkansas State. A guy, when Auburn hired Brian Harsin, they said, look out, man. It's not always what it seems to be. Don't just look at a record. And he talked about some of the things that were issues with Brian Harsin, and they showed their head here. But going back to Carnell, Auburn, it's not hard. You got enough players in the state of Alabama. If you get your fair share, you're going to put a good recruiting class together. And Tommy Tuberville showed what you got to do sometimes as a coach. I would look at all those top 10 players every year and look at our needs. And I would say, guys, we're loading up in Caravan, and we're going to visit this kid. And do you know what kind of impact? I mean, Carnell was being recruited by everybody in the country. He could have gone anywhere he wanted to, but I'm not sure anybody brought their entire coaching staff to show how much he meant to their program. And Scott, you're looking for a way to stand out amongst all the other schools. What's going to make him choose us over Alabama or Florida or Georgia or Miami or Florida State or whoever? You got to do the little things. And, Nick Saban and Kirby Smart were recruiting 10 times harder than Brian Harsin was, and they didn't have to. If anybody doesn't have to recruit as hard as those two guys, but they still put the pedal to the metal. Brian Harsin should have been the one out recruiting them effort-wise. But we were not putting anybody on the road. We weren't doing anything. It just was not a good fit, man. And it was inevitable he was going to be fired. I thought it was the right decision once they got John Cohen hired to walk down the hall and say, we appreciate it, and pack up, and we're going in another direction. And this is an era of Auburn football that Brian Harsin will be forgotten. And let's just be honest. Luke and I talked about this on Tuesday night with Mike Dubose. You go to the Bryant Museum, you can't. If you're looking for something Mike Dubose, you ain't going to find it in there. And they won a SEC championship in 98. But if you go to the 98 display, he ain't nowhere to be found. I think they scratched him off the team picture, too. Brian Harsin in 15 months here in Auburn is going to be forgotten. he didn't accomplish anything. The only thing he accomplished was a win on the road at LSU, and that was Bo Nix. Let's be honest about it. He did, but he'll be credited as the head coach that game. And then his next biggest game was beating Ole Miss last year at home. And after that game, Auburn went on a 5-game losing streak. So just didn't work out. And he's a lot to blame. He really needs to point a finger at himself of why it didn't work, because he doesn't understand how to recruit. He couldn't galvanize the team, get the fan base behind him. And, you know, it ended up being what we all thought it was going to be, an unharmonious ending.
Yeah, and, you know, I'm big on professionalism, and I thought the last 2 or 3 weeks, really from the podium, you know, we made fun of Gus sometimes about, you know, coach speak and those types of things, but I mean, it was just lethargic, and like he knew what was coming. Yeah, he knew what was coming, and
he sent a message when he went in the locker room. 90 minutes, the press was waiting. I mean, basically threw up the middle finger to the press. He's like, y'all can sit in there and wait. I'll get in there when I want to. And then comes in there with a plain white shirt on. He knew what he was doing, and he knew the day had come and arrived, and he knew that was probably his final time at the podium. He acted like it wasn't in that little statement he wrote, but I mean, surely he wasn't. Well, you know, he so oblivious to recruiting, he may have really thought he was just going to keep rocking and along, but he did. All that was calculated. He knew what he was doing. So it ended the way it ended, and so Auburn will be looking for a new head football coach, and Carnell Williams will lead this team for the rest of the year. So the speculation begins on who that's going to be. It's been talked about for 4 or 5 weeks now anyway. It's not like they had to wait to fire him before people started talking about who's going to be the next head coach. So we're going to take a break. We come back, we'll talk about some of them, some of those names. We'll talk about the game today in Starkville and how that breaks down from a statistical standpoint. Stay tuned. More Saturday Sports Countdown right after this.
Have you stopped by Lifesavers Mission Thrift Store lately? If you haven't, you should. You'll find great pieces for your favorite do-it-yourself project. Lightly used name brand clothing by Free People, North Face, Matilda Jane, Patagonia, and a whole lot more. And while you're there, don't miss the shoes, decorative pieces, classic and new books, and Auburn and Alabama gear that won't cost you a fortune. So stop and shop at Lifesavers Mission Thrift Store today for a unique thrift experience that won't break the budget. Lifesavers Mission Thrift, located on East University behind Zaxby's.
Whether it's Lake Martin, Lay Lake, or Logan Martin, boaters from all over the state of Alabama come to Alex City Marine, just off Highway 280 in Alexander City, Alabama, because it's worth the drive. With the best deals on unbeatable Suzuki outboards, Manitou and Landau Tritoons, and a great pre-owned inventory while they last. Alex City Marine is the pros the locals know. And no matter where you're from, when you're here, you're local to us. Alex City Marine, just off Highway 280 in Alexander City, Alabama. AlexCityMarine.com.
Heritage South Credit Union in Alexander City is your community credit union, and they have been for over 80 years. Heritage South Credit Union proudly serves Tallapoosa, Coosa, Lee, Chambers, Randolph, and Chilton counties. From checking to business accounts, to share savings to club accounts, to their kids club and investments. Visit them online at myhscu.com. Heritage South Credit Union, your community credit union for 80 years. Federally insured by NCUA.
Planting season is here, and the Potting Shed Garden Center is happy to give you professional landscaping advice when it comes to planting your shrubs and trees. Auburn's best kept secret will have it all this fall. Mums, pansies, pumpkins, and much more. All in an array of colors and sizes, along with beautiful pots and containers, indoor plants, and a great selection of other gardening gifts. It's all at the Potting Shed Garden Shop, where natural elements reign supreme. Located on the corner of Moore's Mill and Society Hill Road in Auburn.
Now is the best time to sell your current home, as it's a seller's market, meaning that on average you can get up to 96% of your asking price. Who's the most aggressive and most experienced to help you sell your home?
Hi, I'm Rhonda Gaskins, broker, Century 21 Lake Area Realty in the Lake Martin area. We are getting a 96% return on our listing price to sales price in this area. Call me today and let me go to work for you. 256-749-3644.
Gills Opelika
GillsOpelika.info. Get pre-approved in minutes online at GillsOpelika.info for a pre-owned car, truck, or SUV from Gills Auto Sales, 1430 Gateway Drive in Opelika.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Saturday Sports Countdown presented by JR Sports Bar and Grill. Sunshine, heating, and air. 30 minutes left in today's show. Thanks to everybody that joined us this morning and join us every weekend to get your Saturday morning started. Let's look at this Auburn-Mississippi State matchup. Mississippi State 2-3 have dropped 2 in a row. Lost to Kentucky 27-17, and then 30-6 again to Alabama. They just cannot score points against Alabama. Haven't been able to do that in 3 years. So that trend continues, but averaging about 410 yards of total offense. Very good in the pass, 10 nationally, 3 in the conference, but cannot run it a lick. That's good for Auburn. That's what you want to see. That's what the doctor ordered, because the last 2 weeks, Arkansas and Georgia have been and then Ole Miss, the last 3 weeks have been nightmares on the ground. Auburn has given up over 1,000 yards in those 3 games. So it's a welcome sight to see a team coming in. It's not going to run the football. Auburn's not very good against the rush, as I just mentioned. But Auburn offensively, 50th nationally running the football. They can get it going a little bit if they have to. Not very good throwing the football, 93rd. Just a lot of inconsistencies from the quarterback position. Look, I told you this. I warned you before the beginning of the show. It was all over social media yesterday afternoon that T.J. Finley wasn't going to make the trip to Starkville, and I was like, does anybody care? I don't want to sound cold and heartless, but I've never been more disappointed in a guy coming in as a transfer. And we kind of knew, if Auburn fans want to be real with themselves, all they got to do is look back to 2020 when LSU rolled into Jordan-Hare Stadium, and T.J. Finley was the quarterback for LSU, and it was one of the worst beatdowns we've had against LSU in a long time. Fast forward to the Ole Miss game. He'd been hurt since Penn State, so we hadn't seen him. Robbie Ashford's not having a good game, so let's run TJ in there. And he does exactly what TJ's done. 3 plays, looked horrible, and fumbled the football. And then acted surprised. Yeah. On the sideline, he was like, well, was I not down with that? Yeah. Just turned the football over. It just hadn't been. It's like Brian Harsin. It didn't work, man. It didn't work. Let's move on. He needs to move on wherever. Best of luck. But he is not a fit at Auburn. Just keep Robbie Ashford at quarterback and let him keep doing what he's doing, and hopefully he continues to get better.
Yeah, and that was the thing. I think Brian Harsin probably would have gotten a longer leash. There were the other things, obviously, that you would want him out as your coach for. But if you'd have saw the team was struggling a little bit, but if you'd have made a commitment to say, you know what, Robbie Ashford's our guy, we're going to let him get the experience, and we'll be a much better team next year, and surround them with some recruits that'll make the team elevated. Well, he didn't do that. And
he sold a bill of goods off season that T.J. Finley was a starter, and
Zach Calzada was just, I don't know, that's just a roster spot that got
we
taken
talk
up.
More about that guy to have never taken a snap. Let's be honest about it. We spent months talking about Zach Calzada transferring, coming from A&M, what's he going to do? And we hadn't seen hide in the hair. Not going to. He'll never take a snap at Auburn. Won't be there next year. T.J. Finley won't be there next year. But it just shows you that you spend a lot of time talking about guys in sports that may never even play a down. And Zach Calzada will be one of those guys. But you're right. I mean, all the narrative and everything that went on in the offseason was Gus Malzahn 2.0. I mean, Andy Graham said it. He said he was the imps of Gus Malzahn, and what he said as far as kind of being misleading. And Robbie Ashford, we all knew. We weren't at practice, but we were like, I've seen enough of T.J. Finley at the end of last year and in the spring game, and I saw Robbie Ashford in the spring game, and Robbie Ashford looked better than him right then. What are you looking at in practice that makes him look better than Robbie Ashford?
Yeah, and I mean,
it never equaled up.
It just, and I'm somebody who really thought that Harsin was a good football coach. I think if you're at this level, for the most part, everybody's the same level of coach, and I think it just matters about what type of players you have. And you know, being in Idaho, where you know the teams they were competing against, like you can fill your roster with 3 stars.
You can sit in the office and let people come to you. I mean,
it's different, but I mean the aggressiveness that has to take place as a head coach in the SEC, specifically at Auburn, when you're competing against your 2 biggest rivals or the 2 best teams in college football. Yeah, you're going to have to put in a little more effort. And to your point you were saying before, I mean, how do you have coaches on the staff who haven't been out on the recruiting trail for 8 months?
I don't know if they know how to get on 85. I mean, and it's just right down the road from the complex. They didn't know where to go, didn't know who to go see, didn't know who to talk to. And, I mean, it wasn't being funny, but Jason Caldwell, he was on several weeks ago, and I said, well, where are you going? And he said, just go pick a game because we ain't looking at anybody. And he meant it seriously. He's like, we're not targeting anybody. How are you not targeting somebody? He said, so we're just going to pick a game and go show up. It's not because Auburn's got any interest in anybody. That's really amazing. And if you think about the lack of recruiting that went on, really is what ended Harsin's career.
Yeah.
The Auburn fans are tolerable, and they can tolerate a season if they see the future and what potential is going to change. Well, when you look at the season and then you look at the future and you see that that's worse from where you're standing right now, you're like, I don't want to continue down this path.
2 bad recruiting classes is basically putting that's 5 years
He's already
behind.
lost half the recruiting class from last year.
10 out of 18. I mean, that's wild. That's why you go lose some more, too.
Well, I mean, they still leave.
Yeah, so, I mean.
But, you know, here's the deal, and Josh Heupel said it. He said, look, we're nowhere near where we need to be. They're ahead of schedule because they got a super quarterback. Luke and I talked about that Tuesday. A super quarterback can make a team of 3 stars look phenomenal, but you can take a team of 5 stars and put an average quarterback back there and struggle. We see it all the time. Johnny Manziel, Cam Newton, Hendon Hooker. We can keep Joe Burrow. I know he had a lot of great players around him, but you know, you take Joe Burrow off that team and put an average quarterback back there, LSU didn't do what they do. You take a super quarterback, and he can make up for discrepancies where and some holes. And you look at Tennessee's roster, I think they've got 30-something 4 stars and 5 stars, and not many 5 stars. Most of that's 4 stars. And you look at Alabama's roster, and they got over 60 4-star and 5-star. It's double. Georgia's going to do the same thing, but you look at Auburn. Auburn's got more 4 and 5 stars on the roster than Tennessee. And you go, why is Tennessee on the rise and Auburn's on the fall? It's because of the mentality and the quarterback play and the execution. So now, and the positivity of the recruiting classes that are coming in to fill the holes. He said it, you know, where you can take a team. We lost a bunch in the transfer portal. He said we got really decimated on the defensive side of the ball, and he said we still have issues over there. But you can make some of that up through the transfer portal and some other opportunities now. You just got to get the right leader in there, and you got to get the right guy in there that'll get the team and the fan base together and get them believing in the same thing. And that's what Auburn's got to do here. They got to concentrate on getting the right person. And I think for the most part, we talk about keeping it within the family, and Alabama did that forever, and Auburn's tried to do that. Auburn's made two bad mistakes. They hired Alan Green, who was not in the SEC, didn't really understand the SEC, ended up going out and hiring a coach that didn't understand the SEC. John Cohen, people can say it. I don't know how John Cohen's tenure is going to go at Auburn, but he's an SEC guy. He understands what it's like, the grind in this league and what you got to have and what you got to go and try to do. You got an AD that's familiar. You got a president that's familiar. And now you got to go get a coach that's familiar with the SEC. And I think you start making amends that way.
Not to get hyperbolic, but is this the most important hire?
I think
all of them are, but I mean.
Yes, because of how far you've been set back with the previous one. you know, when you lose coaches, a lot of times they get fired, but they're there for 7, 8, 9 years, and the program just hit a stalemate. It just hit a stale point where you got to go, man, we got to part ways. Mark Richt was the same way at Georgia. He was a good football coach, but Georgia was not going to ever get over the hump with Mark Richt. You got to make a change. You got to make a decision. Do you want to stay this way, or do we want to try to go and be a little bit better? And this was a bad decision. This is different than Malzahn being there for 7 years, or Tommy Tuberville being there for 11 years, or Terry Bowden being there for 7 years, or Pat Dye being there for 12. This is you made a bad choice. Now you got to really, it puts a lot more emphasis on getting it right this time. You haven't gotten it wrong in the past. Things have played their way out. You've got to go get somebody that can make up the gap quickly.
And I know we've talked, for several weeks and speculated, but who's your maybe top 2 or 3 guys that
I really think it's Lane Kiffin at the top. I think that's who the powers at B want. I think they've wanted him for a while. I think they've already had some discussions about this with Jimmy Sexton and through channels. I'm not too sure that they haven't come to some type of mutual agreement. If things work out and at this time we can announce and all that's already been laid out and they're just waiting on the season to play out. I heard this week that, Alabama game hinges large for Ole Miss because if they beat Alabama, they've got a path to the SEC championship game. If they lose, they're out of it. Things might speed up. The process may speed up for Lane. I really think unless something falls through, it's going to be Lane Kiffin. Now, I do think all the other names that you're hearing out there, Dan Lanning's name popped up yesterday from Oregon, but I think that's a long shot because of where he is, and Phil Knight saying that we're going to do whatever we can to keep him out here. I think Hugh Freeze is definitely on the table. He may be option 2. He may be the second guy. I think the guy at Coastal Carolina is a very good option. He's a great coach, a young and up-and-coming guy, but I think he understands what it takes. Deion Sanders' name is definitely in the mix. Now, how much in the mix is he? He's going to get a good job at a D1 program maybe next year, maybe 2 years from now. His time is coming. Would I be fine with it at Auburn? I would. Will Auburn seriously consider hiring Deion? I think they're going to give him serious consideration. I really do. And I think he deserves serious consideration because I think if he's given the resources and the things that you can get at a major D1 program like Auburn with a $93 million athletic facility, I think he can be the top recruiter in the country year in and year out.
Oh, 100%.
No doubt about 100%. It. And 90% of it, Scott, is getting the right players. Now, you got to coach them, and you got to keep all those egos in check, but I think Deion Sanders does a really good job of that because nobody in the room has a bigger ego than him. So he's going to sit there and tell a 5-star, buddy, you good, but I've already proven it. He ain't proven nothing yet. So he can talk the talk and back it up with the walk. You know what I mean? And so I think he gets a serious consideration. And I'm not going to be shocked if he's named the coach at Auburn. I think they've been in serious talks with him too. So I think those are your names. Now, will we get caught off guard like last time? I don't think so. I think a lot of the names that we're hearing, it's going to be somebody in that group.
Yeah, and I think that the way that the athletic director search went, there were names being floated around, but there was a heavy emphasis on what you just talked about having somebody that understood the SEC, and I think that that's a high priority for President Roberts and John Cohen.
I think they made a good decision, man.
Yeah,
I really do.
I think that was the right move.
And then he immediately makes Rich McGlynn deputy AD, which I thought, hey, look, if you want to start showing unity, this is a guy that applied for that job, and he goes right down the hall and says, man, I want you on my team. I appreciate what you've done and what you do here at Auburn, and we got to show unity, and I think that was a great first step. Up against another break, stay tuned. More Saturday Sports Countdown right after this.
Brubaker Motors in Montgomery is the largest and fastest growing used car dealership in the River Region. You can absolutely get a better buy at Brubaker. It's better at Brubaker.com.
Brubaker, Brubaker, Brubaker.
absolutely get a better buy at Brubaker.
BREWBAKER. BREWBAKER.com.
It's better at Brubaker.com.
At CNT Electric, our clients are our priority. For the safety and security of your family and home, our technicians are professionally trained, drug tested, background checked, and wear uniforms with name tags. We're proud to have served the Elk City, Dadeville, and Lake Martin areas for the past 10 years. Give us a call at 256-234-0007 for all your electrical service and repair needs. Or visit us on the web at www.cntelectricllc.com and spell out the word "and."
Have you met your local Farmers Insurance agent, Patrick Holina? He proudly serves Tallapoosa County and Alexander City families and businesses and is ready to review your existing policies or provide a no-obligation quote today. Call the Holina Agency at 256-234-0037 or stop in today at 704 Commerce Drive to get smarter about your insurance. Again, that's the Holina Agency, 256-234-0037.
We are farmers. Bum, ba-dum, bum, 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 bum.
Underwritten by Farmers Truck Fire Insurance Exchanges and Affiliates. Products not available in every state.
The food at Oscar's Cafe makes your mouth water. At Oscar's, enjoy great tasting catfish, or maybe you're just in the mood for one of Oscar's fresh salads. Even kids know the place for a fine meal is Oscar's with a great kids menu. Oscar's also has great tasting burgers full of backyard flavor. So come on out to Oscar's Cafe for great food and homegrown hospitality. We're located on Highway 49 South in Dadeville, just before the Blue Creek Bridge. And remember, it's all fun and games till there's only one cheese ball left.
Life is a sequence of little successes. The story of my Southern Union success began the day I walked on campus, making new friends, mastering a new skill, reaching a personal goal, the encore performance, the first date, the internship, and now, soon, the dream job. That's the story of my Southern Union success. Register for classes and get ready to watch your Southern Union story come to life.
Talladega Outdoors in Talladega is your authorized Kawasaki sale and service center. Your home for Bad Boy mowers and Kimco scooters, four-wheelers, and side-by-side. Rather for hunting, land management, or recreation, they have the ride for you. But they are also everything outdoor with full lines of accessories and is now your Ariat workwear and boot store, along with kayaks and outdoor accessories. Talladega Outdoor, Highway 21 in Talladega. Everything outdoor and Alabama's #1 Kawasaki dealer.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Saturday Sports Countdown presented by JR Sports Bar and Grill. Final segment here on the program. Scott, some keys to the win today for Auburn. Look, rejuvenation. I think you're going to see effort. I think Tank Bigsby, Jarquez Hunter, obviously from Mississippi, going back to play Mississippi State's always motivation there. I'd ride with the two guys in the backfield and let Robbie Ashford run the football as well. I would try to line up and play some physical football today.
I think it's going to happen. I was going to ask you earlier the over-under on the rushing attempts today. What did you think?
Well, considering in the last 3 games, I was concerned that we might top 5 passing attempts in the first half. I think they're going to stick with it. That's what Carnell knows how to do.
I'm good with that. Yeah,
he's a running backs coach. I'm sure he's preached being physical this week, trying to get back to what Auburn football is known for, and that's winning the line of scrimmage. We haven't won the line of scrimmage consistently in a long time, not just under Brian Harsin, but under Gus Malzahn and even before. You gotta win the lines of scrimmage, and that's why Alabama struggled a little bit. Let's be honest. Alabama's been pushed around on the lines of scrimmage this year in several games, and that's where Alabama's been so dominant in their runs to national championships, is they've been unmatched on the lines of scrimmage. So would love to see this group continue to get better up front. Thought they made some strides against Arkansas. Got a little bit better. They kind of fell off in the second half. But run the football and see if our defense can get a break, because they're not going to be facing a team that loves to run it about 50 times a game. Yeah. They're going to face a team that likes to throw it 60. So the secondary is going to be tested. But it gives some opportunity for Auburn to maybe put some pressure on the quarterback and maybe get back there and get some negative plays behind the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, and
it's a better matchup for us.
I think it is. It's a much better matchup and plays a little bit more to our strengths. And on the surface, I try to separate my fandom when you're making predictions about games and things. And so, Mississippi State should win this game, truthfully. But
we're 26 in the country against pass, but we're 127th against the run. And Mississippi, and thank God the Pirate doesn't like to run the ball. He likes to throw it. That's a good matchup. That's what I'm saying. It matches up. It's in Georgia, Ole Miss, or Arkansas that they'd rather run it and never throw it. You know what I mean? So this is an opportunity for Auburn to get off the snide today. It's not a very good Mississippi State team.
I mean, the thing is, though, you could easily see a scenario where you finish out, 3
you could get 6 and 6.
Yeah, and then that'd be a really big deal
for those kids. That's what's still in the there's still some motivation to play for something. I think that's huge. All right, let's go down the SEC here. Kentucky at Missouri. Look, this Missouri team probably should be 5-3. They beat us everywhere but on the scoreboard. They gave it away twice. This is a 5-3 team that could be 6-2. They had Georgia beat. Kentucky goes Missouri. I wouldn't be shocked. It's a pick 'em. It's not the point spread's pick 'em. I like Missouri at home.
I do too. I was very big on Kentucky. Still am. I'm a big fan of Mark Stoops, but Missouri's just playing really good football right now, and they're much better than what the record is.
Eli Drinkwitz. Everybody thought he's going to get run out on the rail, and if they don't catch that bad break at Auburn and they somehow pull the upset of the year against Georgia, boy, you talk about a 6-2. You talking about a whole different mentality. They're looking at this Missouri team. Florida goes to Texas A&M today, a couple hours. Good Lord! I mean these two teams 4-5. Texas A&M is 3-5. And they look about as bad as you can look with the amount of talent they have.
I can't wait to see what this game looks like next week.
If Florida comes into A&M, this goes to 3-6. But you stuck with him, man.
Yeah.
86 million reasons to be stuck with him. Tennessee at Georgia. You think Tennessee can pull it off? I do. I think Tennessee can go over there and win the game because I think they can put Stetson Bennett in a position where he's going to have to bring Georgia back. He's not good in that position. If he's playing with the lead, he's got some things to work with, but Georgia's, outside their tight ends, they don't have very many dynamic receivers. And, they can run the football, but I think Tennessee would like to get this in a scoring fest, moving the ball up and down the field, putting a lot of points on the board.
If it's high scoring, I like Tennessee.
I agree.
If it gets to high 30s, low 40s, I like Tennessee. If
it bogs down,
it gets a little easier for Georgia.
Hey, watch out here, Liberty 7-1 at Arkansas 5-3. Arkansas is a 2-touchdown favorite in this game, but you better watch out. Hugh Freeze.
I like Liberty today, actually.
Alabama at LSU. Alabama getting 13.5.
To cover anyway. My bad. To cover.
That's what you're saying. Alabama goes on the road, gets the win in Baton Rouge. He's close.
So. Yeah, I like what Luke's assessment was. I think it's going to be a pretty closer game than what people are expecting.
South Carolina at Vanderbilt. South Carolina lost last week.
Yeah, they should have beat Missouri. Yeah, they should have. And Beamer was.
They would be 6-2. Right now.
They were talking about him as a potential candidate for Auburn, and then they lost last week, and that kind of ended that.
Let's not discuss that. No, that had pretty much abruptly ended. All right, Auburn, Mississippi State. Mississippi State, 12.5-point favorites. Can Auburn get over there and sitting there at 3-5? Can they put 3 wins together coming up with Texas A&M and Western Kentucky in this game to get to a bowl game?
I like them today. I think Auburn can win.
I think Carnell deserves it.
31-27 Auburn.
I like it. I like it. I picked Mississippi State on the Auburn Blitz yesterday, so I'm going to stick with that. But, again, I really think the matchup suits us. This is a very heavily pass-oriented Mississippi State team, and we're pretty good against the pass. 26 nationally defensively, number 4 in the conference in pass defense. When you look at us run defense-wise, we're last in the conference and 127th nationally. It's terrible. I mean, majority of our yards given up come through the running game, and so we've got an opportunity to have a break from that this week. You don't have a heavy rush team, Mississippi State. They like to put the ball in the air, so I think we can be up to the test, and then let's get some points on the board. If we put 30 points on the board, we got a chance to win the game.
I like it.
Scott, that's going to wrap it up for Saturday Sports Countdown. Again, want to thank everybody for joining us every Saturday. We'll be back on the air this coming up week with Sportz Blitz Live, Lake Martin Sports Roundup, and every day Monday through Friday, noon to 1 for Auburn Blitz. So I hope everybody has a fun and safe weekend. Some big college football games about to start, so hunker down and get ready to watch some good college football today. For Scott Hardy, I'm Brett Pritchard saying we've enjoyed it. Well, P.S. See you next time.
Tails are wagging and pets are bragging about Zoom to Groom. Columbus, Phoenix City, and Smith Station. Zoom to Groom comes to you. It's mobile pet grooming from the comfort of your driveway. Schedule your appointment now online at zoomtogroom.net or by phone at 334-740-9909.
So you want to build a home? Build the home you want with America's Home Place. Choose from over 150 floor plans. Then personalize. Tile back splash with granite countertops? Done. A spacious bathroom you've always dreamed of? You got it. Choose every detail. Floors, cabinets, even the paint color.
How about electric lime?
Can't decide? Relax. At America's Home Place, we take care of it all. It's your home. Own it. America's Home Place.
Farmers and Merchants Bank of Dadeville is building a foundation of strength and trust in the entire Lake Martin community. With our modern branch in Dadeville and caring, attentive staff, we've established Farmers and Merchants Bank as a reliable friend to your banking needs. Whether it's just a savings or checking account or any commercial, auto, or real estate loan, Farmers has local decision-making to build a relationship with you and your needs. Farmers and Merchants Community Bank. Strength, service, community.
Are you looking for something really good for lunch? Are you tired of the same old fast food? Well, go to Buck's. Get a meat and 2 sides or a meat and 3 sides for the best deal in town. Buck's always serves up the best food, including fried chicken, wings, hamburger steaks, catfish, shrimp, and yes, of course, the famous Buck cheeseburger basket. And Buck's has dinner specials too. So if it's your turn to cook dinner, Buck's will be glad to do it for you. We appreciate your business and look forward to serving you.
Tails are wagging and pets are bragging about Zoom to Groom. Columbus, Phoenix City, and Smith Station. Zoom to Groom comes to you. It's mobile pet grooming from the comfort of your driveway. Schedule your appointment now online at zoomtogroom.net or by phone at 334-740-9909.
Russell Do-It Center and building supply stores have the tools and materials to get the job done right, whether you're a professional contractor or just a weekend do-it-yourselfer. With everyday customer conveniences like a drive-through lumberyard, price match promise, and our Best Rewards program, each of our 9 locations offer top brands and building materials like lumber, hardware, tools, paint, lawn and garden, and much more. Visit today and see what Russell Do-It Center and Building Supply can help you build tomorrow.
Why is Sarah Automotive Group on Highway 280 in Sylacauga the place for the best deals on your new ride? 3 compelling reasons. 1. With 3 full new car dealers on one lot, you get the best in comparison and incentives on Fords, Hondas, and Nissans' unmatched selection. 2. Sarah pays over market value for your trade to maintain East Central Alabama's best pre-owned vehicle selection and sale. And 3. The Sarah Automotive price won't be beat and delivers lower payments and huge value on your next buy. Shop online or on Highway 280 in Sylacauga.
Russell Do-It Center and building supply stores have the tools and materials to get the job done right, whether you're a professional contractor or just a weekend do-it-yourselfer. With everyday customer conveniences like a drive-through lumberyard, price match promise, and our Best Rewards program, each of our 9 locations offer top brands and building materials like lumber, hardware, tools, paint, lawn and garden, and much more. Visit today and see what Russell Do-It Center and Building Supply can help you build tomorrow.
Why is Sarah Automotive Group on Highway 280 in Sylacauga the place for the best deals on your new ride? 3 compelling reasons. 1. With 3 full new car dealers on one lot, you get the best in comparison and incentives on Fords, Hondas, and Nissans' unmatched selection. 2. Sarah pays pays over market value for your trade to maintain East Central Alabama's best pre-owned vehicle selection and sale. And 3, the Sarah Automotive price won't be beat and delivers lower payments and huge value on your next buy. Shop online or on Highway 280 in Sylacauga.
So, you finally got the boat, ATV, or side-by-side of your dreams, huh? But make it yours with marine-grade audio that'll provide crisp, high-quality sound that's loud enough to be heard, whether you're cruising on the lake or hitting a mud hole. Come see Steve at the Car Stereo Shop in Auburn, so you'll be ready to crank up the volume. Whoa, but wait, you don't have to pull out of the water and trailer it to Auburn. The Car Stereo Shop can handle all of your work at any one of the Lake Martin marinas.